So throughout this session, everything from Forex, which is currency pairs, we'll also be doing indices like USD80, NAS 100, German 40, and we'll also be doing somewhat also gold. So now, guys, before we begin with our session, so first and foremost, I'd like us to start with what? The DXY, which is the dollar index. Okay, so let me just remove everything. Okay, guys, so let us begin with our session. So looking at the overall DXY, what are we seeing here? So we can see that price has failed to do what, to break out from this area over here, and is giving us what, this type of candle confirmation. Now, this type of candle confirmation indicates that this is having what, a higher probability of climbing to the upside and forming what, which is called a double top pattern. And now as we're jumping onto our daily pattern, our daily time frame. So as on the daily, we can see price came from this impulsive move, and then when it got here, what happened? Price started doing what? Forming a corrective structure. Price started to form this overall corrective structure. Now, at this corrective structure, what is happening? So we can see here that we are at the third touch, and at that touch, price gives us what? The type of candle confirmation, which indicates that this is having what, the higher probability of climbing all the way to the upside. Now, if this breaks out, then this is going to be what, our overall target, which is what, the 90% roll, which is the start of the correction. And now as well jumping onto our, for our time frame, what are we seeing on our 4 hour time frame? Now, as you know, for our time frame, we are seeing price forming what, this overall double top structure. So let me just bring this trend line back a bit. So I'm seeing this as being a double top, also combined with it being what, a continuation pattern to the upside. So meaning that this could not be breaking out to the upside, but short term, it could be doing what, it could be dropping. So let me do this. It could be dropping at least to this area over here before it gives us what, that overall breakout to the upside. So this could be dropping short term. Once it gets here, then we'll see whether it's ready to give us our overall bias to the upside. But for now, short term, this is giving us what, sells. So the DXY is very short term, but over the long term, once it gets maybe to this double top area, or once it reaches what, this overall third touch over here, then that's when we can start to do what, to look for overall bullish momentum. So these are our areas of interest for our bullish momentum. But if price doesn't break out to the downside, but instead does what, breaks out to the upside. So if it does also give us a breakout over here, then those are the areas we look forward for our bullish momentum. So that is it for our what, for overall DXY, which represents what, the dollar index, as you can see over here. Now let us get into our first currency pair. So our first currency pair is going to be the Australian dollar over the Canadian dollar. Now let us jump onto our weekly time frame. Now, as you know, weekly on this one, you can see that prices from what, this a valid double top based on what, this candle confirmation, but also combined with it is this ascending structure. This ascending structure, which has what, a high probability of dropping and reaching what, this overall 90% rule. Now let us see how the daily structure is looking like. Now, as you're looking at our daily structure, you can see price forming what, this continuation pattern that broke out, indicating that this is indeed having what, a high probability of dropping to the downside. Now, as well on our 4 hour time frame, let me remove that. So as well now 4 hour time frame, you can see price forming what, this also double top structure, which indicates whether if this breaks up over here, then we'll continue doing what, looking for those cells to the downside. But if this fails to break out to the downside and gives us a rejection, then this will be good, doing what, giving us a short-term bullish momentum. But if it does this, then we'll be staying away from this pair. We'll only continue to trade this pair throughout the week if we get what, that overall bearish momentum. Now, how will our entry look? in the hourly. So if price does give us what that overall breakout we are looking for, and then follows through with giving us continuation, then this is how we'll look to do it to execute our sales. So if you do get a breakout, then follow through by a continuation pattern, then this is going to be our indication for us to execute on our sales. So we can either execute if you have candle confirmation on the third touch. This is how we'll enter. But if you don't, then we'll look for breakout of the continuation pattern, and then this is how we'll enter. Now, on the lower time frame, an indication of this failing to break out would simply be what? A reversal, which will break out and then follow through with what? A continuation. So if this happens, then we'll be doing what? We'll be staying away from this pair, because it's already shown us that, okay, this is having what? A higher probability of climbing all the way to the upside. So that is it for our first pair, which is Australian CAD. So with this one, you can add it to our watch list for the coming week. So let us flag it. And let us jump on over onto our next pair. Now, on our next pair, we're having what? Australian dollar over the Swiss franc. Now, this one, jumping onto the weekly, we are seeing price coming from this impulsive move and combining to form what? This expanding pattern, which is what? The continuation pattern. As you can see, impulse, this is a correction, and this is following through with that impulsive move. And our target could be all the way down here. So this is having what? More momentum to continue to drop all the way to the downside. Now let us see on our daily what is happening. Now, as on the daily with this one, what are we seeing? You can see price coming from this impulsive move and forming what? This correction, which is giving us what? Continuation pattern. As you can see, this is what? A continuation pattern, meaning what? This is still having momentum to continue to drop all the way to the downside. Now let us see on our 4 hour, what are we seeing? So as well on our 4 hour time frame, we can see price did form what? This continuation that broke out. As you can see now, at the moment, what is happening? Price is giving us what? Another continuation. As you can see over here, this is indeed another continuation. So now let us jump on our hourly time frame. So with this one, how are we looking to execute? So we're looking to see if price gets all the way to the third touch and gives us what? Candle confirmation. Then obviously we look to enter this where? Around there on the third touch. Then this is how we look to execute on this one. But if it doesn't give us a third touch, but instead give us what? A double top within this structure. And over here, there's what? This candle confirmation. Then this is also going to be what? How we are entering this over here as a risk entry. This would be the second type of entry that we might use. But if price doesn't give us any of that, but instead chooses to give us what? A breakout over here, then look for price to impulse down, and then give us what? A continuation. So if price does give us that type of entry, giving us what? A small continuation structure, then this is how we look to execute by entering on the breakout of that overall continuation pattern. So this is how we look to execute if we do get what? That breakout followed through by a continuation. Now, an indication of this not giving us that momentum to the downside, but instead momentum to the upside, would just simply be price not giving us any kind of confirmation, but breaking out to the upside and then following through with forming what? Continuation pattern to the upside. So if this happens, then we'll obviously be doing what? We'll be staying away from this pair. But this pair, we can go on ahead and flag it for the coming week. Now let's jump on over to our next pair, which is the Australian dollar over the Japanese yen. So also a jump on to our weekly time frame. Okay, so as well now weekly time frame. So what is happening here? So I am seeing price forming what this overall double bottom structure. As prices fail to break out from this area and has given us what this bullish engulfing, which is a type of candle which confirms that this is having what the higher probability of climbing to the upside up until the neckline of the double top. And now as we jump on to our daily, so let us see how our daily structure is looking like. Now, as you know, our daily structure. So the daily structure is giving me more of a continuation pattern to the downside. As you can see, this is that impulsive move, and this is what that overall corrective structure. So because of this reason, we'll be doing what? We'll be staying away from this pair because it's giving us what a pattern which is having a high probability of dropping to the downside. So it's going what at least the trend. So we just have to skip this pair. Now let us jump on to our next pair, which is what the Australian dollar over the New Zealand dollar. Let's jump on to our weekly time frame. Now, as on our weekly time frame, what is happening over here? So we can see price failing to break out from this area and giving us what candle confirmation. But also, what are we having? We are having what this ascending structure which broke out. So this is having what a higher probability of continuing to drop all the way up until where? This area which is called the start of the correction, the 90% roll. Now, let's jump on our daily time frame. Now, as on our daily time frame, what are we seeing? We are seeing price forming what? This ascending structure, which also broke out. And this is having what the higher probability of reaching this area, which is called what? The 90% roll. Now, let's jump on to our 4-hour time frame. Now, as on a 4-hour, what are we seeing? We are seeing price once again forming what? This ascending structure, which broke out. Which is having a high probability of doing what? Reaching the 90% roll, which is the start of the correction of this pattern. As you can see, the market is repeating itself. Now, for our entry, what are we looking for us to be able to execute? So we are looking for something similar to this similar type of movement. Sorry about that, back on our hourly time frame. So as I was saying, we're looking for a similar type of movement to this on the hourly. So what are we looking for? Price has already given us an impulsive move. So just a simple correction, like so. And how are we looking to execute on this type of correction? Like so, by waiting for the overall breakout. So this is how we are looking to execute on this. Now, an indication of this not giving us that bearish momentum, but instead having a high probability of climbing to the upside, would price impulsing up and then forming a continuation. So if it does form this type of movement, then obviously this is giving us what an indication of what higher probability of moving to the upside and be staying away from this pair. But for now, this is ready to be flagged for one of the pairs we are focusing on for the coming week. Now over on to our next pair, which is the Australian dollar over the US dollar. So also this one, let's jump on our weekly time frame. So as we're on our weekly time frame, so what are we seeing over here? So I am seeing price forming what? So sorry, that's the monthly. So let's jump on the weekly, not the month. So we can see price forming what? This overall continuation that broke out and combines to form a double top. And this is the overall target, which is the 90% roll. So this is having what the higher probability of reaching the 90% roll. So it means from here on, we're all simply looking for what? For patterns which are going to the downside, because the momentum on the high time frame is going to the downside. Now also on the daily, we are having what? a pattern, which is called a continuation pattern. So this is having what? Momentum of going where? Also to the downside. Now let us see on the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, what are we looking for? A pattern which is having momentum to where? The downside. So as you can see, we did get that pattern which is having that momentum. But this, I'm not happy with the way it closed in, so we'll have to do what? Evolve the structure. Like so. Because it closed inside, now we have to do it to evolve the structure. So now, how are we looking to enter it when it's evolved like this? So we are waiting for this to reach why? The third touch. So if it gives us candle confirmation, then we do what? Take ourselves to the downside. Like so. Now, if it doesn't give us what, like that touch, then we have to do what? Wait for the breakout. Once we have a breakout, wait for continuation pattern. So if we get a continuation pattern, so let me show you an ideal continuation pattern that we are looking for. So I'm looking for something similar to this, as you can see. That is called continuation pattern. So I'm looking for something similar to this around here. So if we do get that similar type of movement, then this is how we will execute. So this is how we'll enter it if we get that continuation on the breakout. Now, if this doesn't give us a breakout, how will it look like if it is going to the upside? So if this is having momentum to the upside, then this will do what? Will break out to the upside and then follow through with forming a continuation pattern. So if this happens, then we'll be doing what? We'll be staying away from this point because it's no longer moving with the trend. It's now moving to the upside. Now over onto our next pair, which is what? The Canadian dollar over the Swiss franc. Let's jump on the weekly. So is on the weekly, I'm seeing price failing to do what? So that's the monthly. Price is failing to break out from that area. Let us see on the weekly. So on the weekly, price is failing to break out from this area, indicating what? A double bottom. So this could be having a high probability of at least reaching that area over there. Let us see on the daily. Now, is on the daily, so let me remove this temporarily. So on the daily, we are seeing this giving us a continuation pattern to the upside. As you can see, so let me also remove that. And also we're having one first touch, second touch, and third touch is giving us candle confirmation, confirming that this could be climbing all the way to the upside. So let us see on the 4-hour what is happening. So on the 4-hour, what are we seeing? We are seeing price forming what? A double bottom that broke up. Or we can look at this as our head and shoulder. That is upside down. This is our left shoulder, this is our head, and this is the right shoulder. Let's jump on the hourly. So on the hourly time frame, what happened? Price gave us what? Continuation pattern to the upside. If you can see. So now what are we looking for? For us to be able to enter a breakout of this bigger trend line, and then continuation pattern to the upside. So this is how we'll look to enter our buys, like so. This is how we'll enter our buys. Now, an indication of this not climbing to the upside would be price doing what? forming a reversal pattern when it reaches this trend line, and then impulsing down, forming a continuation pattern to the downside. Now, if it forms a reversal, after that reversal, a continuation, then we'll be doing what? We'll be staying away from this pair because it's now having what? Higher probability of dropping to the downside. So that's it for this pair. We can do what? Flag it for the coming week. Let us jump on to our next pair, which is what? The Canadian dollar over the Japanese yen. Let's jump on the weekly also with this one. So what are we seeing on this one? We are seeing price forming what? An overall double bottom based on price failing to break this level and this type of candle confirmation. And this is the overall target, which is what? The overall neckline. Now, as we're jumping onto our daily time frames, what is happening on the daily? So on the daily, we are seeing price forming what is overall descending structure, as you can see over here. This overall descending structure. So what are we targeting with this overall descending structure? This could be what our overall target. So let us see on our weekly. Sorry about that. So as we are looking at this, so on the 4-hour, what are we seeing? So on the 4-hour, we are seeing price forming what this overall descending structure, as you can see. Also with this one. Also with this combining with these two descending structures. So this is confirming that this is indeed having a higher probability of climbing to the upside. So on the smaller time frame, what are we looking for? So with this pair, I think we should leave it because the target is almost reached. So there's no point in executing on this one. So let us focus on other pairs. So on this next pair, which is what the Swiss franc over the Japanese yen. So on the monthly, we're not having anything much, so let's jump on the weekly. So it's on the weekly time frame. Also, this one's not giving us anything much to conclude whether we are looking for buys or sells. So let's jump on over onto our next pair. So the next pair that we are analyzing is going to be the euro over the Australian dollar. So this one, let's jump on our weekly. What are we seeing? We are seeing potentially a double top, but price is broken up way above, so we'll have to do it. Skip this pair. Okay, guys, so on our next pair, which is what the euro over the Canadian dollar. So what is happening over here in the weekly time frame? So we are seeing price forming what this overall reversal structure, which is called an ascending pattern. And also combining with this is giving us what a double top. So this is having what a higher probability of dropping all the way to the downside. But the first target will be around there, which is called the 90% drop. So also let's jump on the daily. So as on the daily, that structure is even more clear. As you can see on the third touch is giving us what overall candle confirmation. So this is having what a higher probability of dropping up until the 90% drop. So let's jump on to the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, the only thing that I can say we are seeing is what this overall head and shoulder pattern. This is what left shoulder, the head and the right shoulder, which means this is confirming that overall bearish momentum to the downside. Now let us jump onto our hourly time frame. So on the hourly time frame, price already gave us what? That first continuation. As you can see. Now, how are we going to execute on this one? So price has already given us an impulsive move. So we are waiting for correction. So if we do get that overall correction, then we'll be more than happy to execute ourselves either on the third touch, like so, or on the breakout, like so. So this is how we need to execute. But if price doesn't give us that overall continuation, but instead impulses up and forms a continuation, then this is going to be our indication of us to do what? To stay away from this pair, because it will be now going against the overall trend, which is the trend is strong to the downside. But for now, we can also like this for the coming week. Now over on to our next pair, which is what? Euro over the Swiss franc. Let's jump on our weekly. So this one on the weekly is not giving me anything much to say whether we are looking for buys or sells. So we have to skip this pair. Okay, so over on to our next pair, which is Euro pound. So Euro pound on the weekly, it's forming what? This ascending pattern, which broke out, and this is what our overall target. Now we're jumping into our daily. What are we seeing? Price forming continuation pattern. So once this breaks out, then it's having a high probability of reaching this 90% route. So with this one, we have to wait for this to break out first. So once it gives us a breakout, then that is when we can jump onto our hourly time frame and start to look forward our continuation pattern to the downside. So once you do get that breakout, then that's when we do what? We start to enter ourselves. Only once you get what? That overall breakout. So this is how we look to enter. Now, the possibility of this not giving us a breakout, which is simply the price doing what? Once it gets here, it forms a reversal and continuation pattern to the upside. So if this happens, we'll do what? We'll stay away from this pair and focus on the next one. But let's select this pair for next week. So the next pair that we are focusing on, the next pair is going to be the euro over the Japanese yen. Jump on the weekly. So this pair is not giving me anything much to conclude whether it's buying or selling, so I'll have to skip this pair. Now the next one we are having with the euro over the New Zealand dollar. So this one, I'm not seeing anything much except, okay, we can use this and look at this as being what? Continuation pattern to the downside, indicating this is having what? The high probability of dropping to the downside. And we can look to combine this and this being what? Overall double top. Now let us see on the daily. So on the daily, we're not having anything that I can use to say, okay, this is giving me buys or sells. So to do it, also skip this one. Now the next pair we are having is what? The euro dollar. So this one on the weekly, we are seeing what is overall double top structure by price failing to break out in that type of candle confirmation, which means this is having what high probability of dropping to the downside. Let's jump on the daily. Now on the daily, what are we seeing? We are seeing price impulse, and this is what our overall correction, which is giving us a continuation pattern to the downside. Now let us see on the 4 hour how things are looking like. So this one, to make things a bit neater, let's put our trend line over here. So with this one, it's giving us what, a continuation pattern to the upside. You can see. But even though long term are still what, seeing this also being what, continuation pattern to the downside. So with this one, the only way we can be sure we can start to look for ourselves is either if it gives us what, a breakout over here, or if it gives us what, a double top between there, or if it gives us what, an overall third touch over here. So those are going to be what our points of interest for when we can start to say, okay, this is now committing to giving us what, our overall sales. But for now, I think we can flag it, even though I don't think we'll be trading it this coming. So I think let us take this one. We'll see in the next, after 2 weeks, once it's given us areas of value. So our next pair is going to be what? Pound Australian. So pound Australian is jump on now weekly. So this one is not giving me anything much, so we have to skip it. Now the next pair we are having what? Pound CAD. Now with pound CAD, it's already given us what, our first impulsive move, and it's formed what, a continuation pattern that broke out, as you can see over there. So this could be the overall target. So this is still having what, more momentum to climb to the upside. Now let's jump on now into our daily. Now as on our daily, we are having what, another continuation pattern. We're having what, a continuation pattern to the upside, which already broke out, which is already given us confirmation. Now let us jump on our 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, we already have what, another continuation that broke out, which is another confirmation. Now let us look for our entry on the lower time frame. So on this one, how are we looking to execute on this one? So we're waiting for price to do what? First, give us an impulsive move, then a small correction. So if price does give us that, then that is when we know we can do what? Execute on our buys. Either way, on the third touch with candle confirmation, or if we don't have a third touch, then we'll enter where? On the breakout. So that's how we look to execute. Now, an indication of this not going to the upside, but going to the downside, it will look something like this. So it would be price respecting this overall structure. If it does this and it breaks out to the downside, then we stay away and see how it reacts. But if it also breaks out from here, then we'll do what? We'll be staying away from this pair. But for now, we are focusing on things like this for our buy, so it's ready for the coming in. Now let us see our next pair that we are having, which is the pound over the Swiss franc. So also on the weekly, also this one on the weekly, we're not having anything much to confirm whether we are buying or selling. So let us skip it. So also with pound Japanese yen, I'm not seeing anything that I'm liking. So let's see if I draw this one. Let's see. Now I'm not having anything that I'm liking for me to confirm our buys or sells. Let us skip it. Pound New Zealand. This could be what potential double top based on that what transit confirmation. So let us see on the daily whether we have confirmation. I don't think we do. So on the daily, we can say that we are having what that reversal structure, but we'll have to do what? Wait for a clear breakout or a third touch. So at the moment, I don't think we are having either. So this one we have to do it, leave it maybe for the next coming weeks. And let's see pound dollar. Let's jump on the weekly. So with pound dollar, it's giving us a continuation pattern to the upside, as you can see. So which means this could be having more potential to climb maybe up until that area over there. See on the daily how it's looking like. So on the daily, we are having what is expanding type of pattern or ascending. So this one we wait for what? We have to wait for this to break out first. So if we can get a breakout, that is when we can do what? Jump into our hourly time frame and start to do what? To look for those buys. Only once you have a breakout on the daily. So if you do have a breakout, then wait for price to fall and impulse, and then a continuation. So if you can get a combination of that, then that is when you can do what? To execute on our buys. Like so. Now, an indication of this not giving us those buys would just be price doing what? Failing to break up from the daily. And instead rejecting and dropping to the downside. So if it does that, we obviously do not stay away from this pair, but for now, we can flag it for the coming week. So guys, what I'd like us to do now is to take a short break, and I'll do it. I'll send a link for part 2 of the session where I will continue with the rest of these pairs before we can